We can
Awesome.
give it to
Thank you.
everybody else, right?
Absolutely, by all means.
Thank you.
Again, our website presence is uLaw.io or uLawPractice.com. Just a quick background, we've been in business now over 13 years, believe it or not. We were one of the original companies that started building features and functionalities specific to the needs of paralegals in Ontario. And of course, today we serve thousands of legal practitioners, both lawyers and paralegals across the country. We're based out of Ottawa. We're a Canadian company. We're a cloud-based legal accounting practice management and a business accounting software with court forms automation and form filling features. The documents that we generate are Law Society compliant. We started off with LSO, or LSUC as it was previously called, to LSO, and then we evolved it to be compliant with other provinces. And the reason I say that is I'm starting to see a trend where people are migrating from different provinces. You know, sometimes they may work in multiple provinces, so you can be rest assured that the product is compliant across the country. Okay. We do offer what we call as a 30-day trial. So you can start that free trial, enter your information, and the reason I'm saying all of this is going back to Sandy's question is about the intake process. So within the first 30 days, what happens is someone from my team would reach out to you, would ask you a convenient time for a one-on-one session where we introduce you to the product, we walk you through the benefits of it, how best you as an individual can use the product on your needs. As part of that process, we would ask you if you have a letterhead or it may be a logo, and just send us the image. And we do this as a complimentary service, is if you can email us your letterhead or logo. Well, typically you can do this yourself. So for example, if I go to personalized logo under help, you should be able to do this yourself. So a lot of the features that we offer are self-serve, but sometimes it's really not your bread and butter. So we understand and we're able to help you deliver this as a full service from our end. So we would create the banner or the letterhead, we call them, under as 850 pixels because that's the dimension that we needed to fit it within the documents. And if you have a logo, again, full serve, send us the logo, we'll take care of it, type of thing, right? You can update them as you move along as well, no problems there. Also, as part of that intake process, that initial 30 days, we ask if we have to do multiple sessions. Sometimes our prospective clients take 2 or 3 sessions to understand the product better. And then at the end of that 30-day trial, we ask humbly if we've done well to earn your business. And if we have, depending again on your situation, the pricings change. If you're a new entrepreneur who's just getting started, in fact, everyone who's getting started new with us pretty much qualify for entrepreneur rate. If you're a student who's just graduating, same rate of $29 a month. After the first year anniversary, we ask, hopefully you've done well that first year and hopefully you've taken advantage of that savings, but it's either $34, which you pay annually, times 12, so $408 Canadian, or you can just use the monthly option of 44 Canadian, and there's just one price for everything. Okay, so you choose the option that best fits you, and even during the trial, we create your own username and password, default password, and then you go in and change it right under settings, right? And we help you with pre-populating a lot of your basic information because we're already capturing it as part of that trial. So what areas of practice do you focus on? What's your email? What's your phone number? And that's really the reason why we ask for, is we can populate your basic information ahead of time. And our support is free of charge, and you can call us or email us as many times. We are best, I would say, aligned to serve our customers through email and then follow up with our phone back. Or you can just reach out to us right from here. You can just say email uLaw support, just tell us the reason for it. right? So it's pretty nimble that way. And because you're sending this to us from your account, we also know your email already. So,
I
okay,
have a quick question.
please.
It may not be so quick, depending on the answer. Is there like a client portal access? So your practice, you have a lot of forms. You have sent some of the forms or information um, to your client, but there's a way for them to actually log on and see the status and status of their file with you.
That's a great question. I would not say to the extent you asked for, but we're on that track. We started with the client portal with the client intake. We started with that. We're moving into the next level, which are invoices. And then hopefully by end of this year, we should have a client portal that gives you that full end client functionality aspect of it, where they can log in and then just view your information. But today, we have it for the client intake. So if you have a client intake form, you can just send your customer a quick link, and they would just fill in the information and would automatically get populated into uLaw.
Sorry, Praveen, I have a quick question. Can you just go through that emailing support from within uLaw again? I think I missed it.
Yes. It's under Help, and it's called Email uLaw Support. Let me annotate this on Join Me here. Makes it easier. So under Help, under Email uLaw Support.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
There you go. So everybody in the firm, we're all serving our customers, so we get this right away, and we know that we have something to take care of right away. So everyone has a smart device that we access. Okay. That's a good question about Client Portal. I like the way you're thinking, and we're heading towards that direction, but not in its fullest form yet, because a lot of our focus has gone into updating the court forms, ensuring compliance, taking care of your side of the house, and now we're slowly moving to the other side of the house, which is helping you manage your client and helping your client manage their information.
Another question.
Yes.
I know I'm getting you off track of your usual process. Please let me know.
That's okay.
Because I can ask my questions at the end if I remember.
Oh, no. Please go ahead. I love
Okay.
this.
One of the problems that I have is remembering how long did I was in the middle of a file, I was doing a letter, a client calls in, and I forgot to take down the time that I was speaking with him. Is there a feature that we could, if we have, if we have uLaw open, is there somewhere that we can go and click it so it starts counting?
Well, absolutely. So within a matter, I'll show you a couple of options that we have. So we have something called as a timer here. So this is a docket timer. You don't even have to do this on our web version. If you download our app, and if you've already created a matter, you can do it right on your mobile phone, because we have an app that's free of charge as well. You can just download it, put in your username and password, and you can dock it with a timer on it, like we're talking right now, and then just pause it, just docket it, and it's going to go right into the matter. You can do that if you know the matter. In some firms, what happens is they don't even know yet, because there's client intake officers or something like that. In which case, we have what's called as a scratch pad. And how did I get there? I clicked on this little arrow under calendar, and it's scratch pad here. And what you can do is you could say, all right, initial client take form, spend some time to talk to the client, and you can add another one. You can see this was at, 1 p.m. today. And I spent, and you can do a timer for that as well, if you like. You can pause, docket another one, and you can take what we call as a scratch pad. So typically an Excel sheet, if you have multiple matters, so you could say second meeting. Third row, what happened was I had a third meeting. And again, I'm sure you know I'm just making this up. Now, I can just close this. I can go do my work. I can have lunch. I can do other stuff. End of the day, so imagine this like really your diary or your little notebook. Come back to Scratchpad. All that information that you just took is still there. Now you could say add new event. I'm going to add this to Katie's matter. And the second meeting that I had, is really not for Katie. I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to take an action. I'll just wait for that to be done. I'll take an action. I'm going to add a new event. And this actually was not for the writing will. This is for the separation matter for Katie. Okay. Of course, it didn't make sense because I didn't put the time, but let's do this. Let's say, and I can put 0.6 or 0.1, and we do the 6-minute interval. So I just put 0.1. It's already taken 6 minutes. I can say same, or maybe a different matter, or I can search up that. Maybe this was for John. Right, so quite a few Johns in our database. I could say this is for Goodman John. Or what matters do I have? I have a John versus Enercare. All right, let's put it there. So you can either go from, this is where the validation happens in uLaw. You know that matter was closed, so we're not letting you dock it right away. We have such checkpoints across accounting errors as well, so you don't make such errors. So I'm doing this for Bor. Yes. Sorry, please go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say that it could be a client, and that at the end of a prospective client, then at the end of the call, he or she didn't follow up. Do I open a matter for that? I really didn't want to open a matter, so this could be someone that I have very little information on. I know about the ghost clients, but then how do we follow from there? And I'm sorry, I just missed, where did you get that scratch pad from? Which tab?
Next to the calendar, you have this little arrow, and we make it so hard for all of you. So, and there's scratch pad.
Okay.
So are you a current user of uLaw? Is that why your question is so specific?
Well, it's because I've been trying, but I'm not there yet.
Slowly but surely. It's definitely not an impulse buy. I've been doing this for 13, 14 years now. I realized that it's not an impulse buy. It's not an iPad. There is a learning curve.
Yes, and there's so many more features that you now have that when I started playing around weren't available. So this is fantastic to see.
Absolutely. We're evolving, and it's just getting better, and we're definitely getting better with our feature. So ghost client, I will let you know that depending on really the nature of the ghost client, right? So typically the Law Society does request that you do create a matter for a ghost client, especially if they've given you some information. And the reason for that is so that you can do this. So Steven Seagal is giving you a bunch of information just to go the whole way, the whole 9 yards to cover yourself, right? What's recommended, and again, you are the best judge of how you go about this, but what's recommended is, okay, you know what, let me start from first. I'll say add new contact, I'll say clients, because right now you're thinking that this prospective guy, Bob General, is really interested, right? So basically he's given you some fields to fill out. Maybe he gave you his driver's license and you filled his information, or he filled out a client intake form. Let's put it that way. And you saved his information. He flirts with the idea that he wants to engage you. He's like, okay, you know, there is this matter. There is this eviction of a tenant situation that I may be needing some help, right? Because this happens, and this has happened to a lot of our clients. What's the ideal task to do is, even if this is someone who just you spoke to at a supermarket saying, oh, you're a paralegal, I'd like to work with you, and then left it at that, you don't worry about those guys. It's really the person who's given you information to a point where almost seems like it's real. So let's say this is what was it saying? This is a landlord and tenant board. Yeah, there you go. So let's say eviction. So you're all excited. You put in the matter. Ideally, as per the Law Society's recommendation, you stop right here. If this person turns out to be a ghost client, because they have not responded in uLaw, you can just mark them as a ghost client, right? So you add them, like you can see they're already under clients. Now you just add them to ghost clients as well. And now you can remove them out of the clients group at a later time if you like. But it doesn't end there. What's recommended is this is for your own housekeeping. But the ideal situation that the Law Society is looking for is you come here to letters and you basically send them a non-engagement letter. Again, you can use our basic template to get started. And these are really good templates. They were shared by other legal practitioners. You can see our letterhead for Roger Moore. And this is his logo, and of course, very exciting. But you've got all the information already pre-populated like this. And there's a reference to that conversation because there's a file number that you've created. So there's a little bit more meat to why you're clearly stating that you're no more responsible for whatever little information that this person has given you. Okay? And sometimes what happens is that this customer just pops right back and says, hey, I'm sorry, I was just out of town, I'm back. And then you can just continue with the matter. Did that help answer that question? Hello?
I have a quick question. Just where can I find the letters again, if you can show me again?
Okay. So if you're looking for file or matter-related information, so maybe I'll give you a little picture here, okay? Let me take a step back. So once you log into uLaw, the first time you log in, you're going to see 7 menu options on the left, okay? Right from dashboard to analytics. Each and every menu option is very distinct in its purpose-built. The dashboard is just a quick, fast landing page where a lot of information is on your face or in your face, at your face, so that you can take an action on it. Now, we've evolved our dashboard. Before, it used to be just an informational screen. Now you can actually take an action on the screen. For example, if you've got invoice pending matters, this is a dashboard element that's highlighting all the matters for which you've docketed some effort or maybe put in a disbursement, but yet to generate an invoice. Because time is money, and the way you make your money is by generating invoices so that you can either do the trust transfers or ask for the payment, right? So if you have these many matters for which you've not yet docketed, we want to highlight it to you. What you can do is you don't even have to go into the matter. You see this little $sign, you click on it, you can preview so that you get an understanding of, okay, what is that we're talking about here? How much of docket have I done? And it clearly shows you that intake form that we just did through the Scratchpad and the third meeting for 6 minutes. So there's about $45 worth of billability here. So why miss it? So you go back, skip the preview. So it's as good as you being in the matter to do this. You can just invoice this guy right from the dashboard. You don't even have to go to the matter to do this. And as soon as you've done that, you're going to notice that this writing will disappear and the invoice is generated. So the dashboard, again, is a landing page for you to take action. Again, of course, if you click on the contact, Bob General is going to go into the contact. If you click on the matter, it's going to go into the matter. You can see that that particular matter is gone. Likewise, you could have matters where you can click on this analytics. Right away, it tells you everything you need to know about this matter. So there's no money in trust. There's 723 worth of invoice. 678 has been paid because there's 45 bucks left to be paid. And you can take that client payment right here. If they call you, you can right away click on payments. If you have our integrated payment option, you would see that show up here. And we also automatically balance it. So you can take their credit card information right from here. Oh, I guess I didn't set it up. Or take the check number, deposit it into your general account, give them a receipt. So all done right from the dashboard. So I took payment for this matter. I invoiced for that matter, all from here. This is one style of doing things. But again, just getting yourself acclimatized to what you should expect out of the dashboard, right? And you can have your own news. Now, how do I customize all of this? It's done through the settings. Yes, we are happy to help migrate from any system that you may currently have on. As I said, it's a 3-step or a 4-step process that we are very successfully have created a template around. So your clients, your files, along with their trust and general opening balances, that's all we need. And we'll be more than happy to transfer information over. So if you go into our dashboard, this is where you can really personalize the uLaw experience. Pretty much you can personalize it using settings across the entire firm. Yeah. Next comes contacts. See, in uLaw, we, of course, are very concerned about your clients because that's a primary contact type. But as a legal firm, you pretty much come across many different types of contacts. So it could be your client. It could be the representative of the opponent. It would, if you're representing a plaintiff, maybe the defendant is a contact. There's a necessity for you to store all that information for 2 reasons. One is for your conflict search, right? So the next time that same defendant shows up for you to represent, you need to be able to make an informed decision of all the parties that you worked with in the past to ensure that there's no conflict. So uLaw has provided a centralized database, if you will, for contacts, and that's why we don't call it a client relationship management. It's a contact relationship management, because not all of them in the legal world are clients. You could have vendors. You could have, as I said, in some criminal matters, for example, you're mostly working with the third-party representative, right? Now, the second reason why we ask you to store all that information is uLaw has this court forms feature built in. For Ontario, we've done that now. For Alberta, we're building it for British Columbia as well. But because you're from Ontario, you'll be really excited to know that for a lot of the common practice areas, we update the court forms. So again, it can be pre-populated. Okay. For example, I could say add new contact, and I can add a defendant. Or let me take the Bob's general example. I'll say add new contact and add the tenant's information. And you can have multiple tenants. I'll say Miss Singer tenant. I'll give them the unit condo an address. Now the mailing address becomes important because that's the correspondence address. Yeah. You can always add multiple addresses. You can say add. You can always add and make this a work address. But only one of them becomes a mailing address. You can add their phone number. You can even add their AKA name if they have one. Because sometimes some people go by AKAs, or also known as. I think LATB forms do ask for that sometimes. Anyways, so now I've got a client and I've got information about a defendant. Similarly, you could have a representative. So this is the other paralegal. And this could be okay. And let's say I'll say why not? We'll cover all the major cities, eh? Okay, now I've added 3 different types of contacts into the uLaw database. Okay, hopefully that came across okay. Was that too fast for you to recognize? I just went into add new contact, and instead of choosing clients, which is the primary type of contact, I chose some other types. So if I go into representatives, I should see, what was her name again? Hostas representative, or you can just search up. So again, comprehensive search, there it is. I just type it in, it comes up. Likewise, if I go into tenants, it's easy for you to now group them, easy for you to retrieve information, easy for you to search overall, right? Now let's say I want to go into my friend Bob General. I choose that, there I am. I go into the matter. I click on matter. There's that LATB. Now, there is a tab under Matters called Additional Parties. This tab is how you, as the legal representative working on this file, can tell uLaw all the parties that are involved in this landlord and tenant board matter for Bob General. uLaw has a little bit of smartness built into it. For example, if you say Add Party and use this drop-down, it has some default labels to it, some default party types, right? Because we serve this across many different practices, right, from criminal, LATB, small claims, POA. Let's say this is the tenant we were talking about. So you say tenant, and you search up. So here's a prerequisite. You should have this contact information already created so that you can associate it as a party type in this matter. Okay, that's the only learning curve, if you will, that people miss out. That's a little, straightforward. Before you can associate it, that information needs to be there. And I'll show you why this is important, why go through all this. I'll add the representative, for example, another party type. Representative of the opponent is the legal lingo for that. And here's hostas. So you may come across having to work with hostas in multiple matters. Now that you have her information one time, you can reapply or reassociate that contact across multiple matters too. Now what is the fun element? Is if you go into this court forms, and if these are all misleading, as they say, all roads lead to Rome, most of the documents that you want to generate are under document generation. Okay, and these little buttons are just quick access points to these documents. So I can either go into court forms right here, or I can just say court forms, they're the same screen. So now the question is, what type of form is this? So it's an LATB form. Now uLaw we do our best to keep these forms updated as and when they are updated in the court website, right? We typically have a 2-week SLA. Sometimes we're able to do it faster than that. So let's say this is an eviction for 10 because of non-payment. Again, don't want to get political here. I don't know how dicey this situation is today with COVID, but let's say there is a situation. There's a form to be filled out for that. Typically, you would spend 10, 15 minutes just entering information in. Now, this is a PDF. What uLaw has been able to do is reduce that time by pre-populating the rental unit's information the landlord's name and address because we already know Bob General. He is the landlord because you associated this person as the tenant. uLaw is smart enough to know that if this is a landlord and tenant board matter, and it's got to be him, right? Having said that.
I have a question.
Yes.
So in the document that you're looking at right now, which is a N4 for non-payment of rent, if you scroll up to the location of where the property address is,
yes.
There you go. Can you see that there is a field for street number, and then there's in the area where it says street name, uLaw has imposed the street number in the street name. Is there any way for you guys to fix that? That's been driving me nuts for literally years now.
Okay. So Gayatri, if you can just take that down, I think you're on the call. We want to make sure that we're splitting the street number and the street. So just taking it out and putting it under street number, okay?
Yes, sure. And also the type of street where it shows, Queen Street. Street is actually supposed to be entered into a separate field in the form, and again, it's showing it all grouped together all as one here.
Right. I see that. I'm going to put it down and talk to support about that.
Thank you so much.
So you're saying it ideally should be like this?
Correct.
Got it.
Because if it's not like this on the form, we have to fix it, and if we don't fix it, if it just goes through and it isn't caught, then it's incorrect. And if it happens to be on an actual notice to a tenant, that could be the difference between a defective notice that gets dismissed or a notice that can be that can move forward with an application. So it's a sticky issue.
Point taken. You got it. That's an easy fix. But thanks for bringing that up to our attention. But ideally, this is where we're able to pre-populate all of that information. So that's really the association between the matter itself and the parties involved. And also the fact that the next time a singer, let's say there's another person, let's say this is a legal firm, you're not in the office, your intake person just worked with a new prospective client, and her name is Singer Henry. Ideally, you want to do a conflict search, right? So as soon as you've saved that prospective client information, again, depending before you go into ghost client situation here, you would do a conflict search. So I went into action, conflict check. I can see if I've created any matters for someone with that name. And this is typically a comprehensive check that goes through our entire database, looks at all the names and the associations they've had with your firm's matters and files. Okay? So that's really the contacts, a centralized database for contacts of various types. Then comes our quick view, just so you understand the purpose of these menu options. Just fast and an easy way for you to look at all the matters that you have. Now within the matter, I'm sure those who have worked here would appreciate and talk about how easy it is to categorize your matters so that you're spending your time on the work that's most important, which are active. And you can pretty much search for any matter here. If you're looking for custody matters, you can just type that in. If you have the name of the client, you could say, so again, you can search it up. You can even search by file number if you have that. Okay. And you can also print this detail. You can say all active matters. And here is my conflict search. So you can see there's a few singers. So there is our first name conflict with singer tenant, which is really what I was looking for. And there's so much information because there's a lot of Henrys in the database. And here is the quick matter list that I printed from my quick view. All the matters that I've created over the last year and a half. So quite a few options. I know I'm going fast, but again, keeping in mind that I'm, yes, please.
Sorry. So with regards to clients and being able to sort out, what type of matters they are and so on and so forth, just quickly, when you go back to clients and you're inputting a new client, you have the option of inputting information about where you received that client or how you received or came about getting that client, whether they were referral and so on. Is there any way that, so for example, I get 90% of my clients are by referral only. So what I would like to be able to do is record somewhere in uLaw, if possible, the source of that contact down to the actual, like the person, the office, or so forth, so that, for example, at the end of the year, I can take a look and see who has been my greatest referral sources, so that I can either go, send them a gift card, or for the ones that aren't my greatest sources, maybe stop answering their calls.
No, that's a great point. In fact, right now what we have is the notes section where people use, but having said that, we're making an update to this where we would be able to give you, so this notes, so let's say.
Yeah, that's where I normally put that information now, but I have no way to retrieve that. That's
correct. So what we're making that is, first and foremost, as part of the source of contact report, we're going to make that as a field. But more importantly, we're also going to be able to give you analytics on your top. So again, good questions. There you go. If you look at our source of contact report, right? So today, this is a report that is in line with what the compliance needs are, but we're making some changes to this form. And I can, again, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Sorry, Denise Ranger.
Thank you,
Can you
Denise.
show me how you got to that source report again? That you did that really quickly.
Sorry. Document generation. So any document that you want to generate is under document generation. Or if it's simpler for you to learn, it's under compliance, source of contact. Or I'll show it to you under document generation. It's easier understood here. So document generation reports source of contact. Did that make sense?
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm following along. I actually have uLaw, so I've got it open and I'm following along. So thank you.
So here, as you can see, we've got first name, last name, all that, right? So we're going to be giving you a field where it actually lists out this text field, this notes section. So if you have a referral, it's going to have a notes section next to it under the report. And I'm sure you've noticed these analytical items that we've started building. So if you look at this analytical item, you can do your client analytics. And today we've gotten to the point where we can tell you what is your source, what is the maximum area. You say 90%, you can validate that here. You can say, what is the number one category of your referral source? So we're saying it's client referral. It's the top source because all of your contacts you've added client referral. So we're able to tell you number two source, things of that nature. So we're going to be able to give you added information about that as well. Total number of clients acquired. So we even go to the point where we can, you talked about sending cards. How many ghost clients are there? Even saying that over the last 90 days, what is your top referral source? So leave the year. Let's cut the chase to the last 90 days. What's working? Again, I know I've been fast, but this is under quick view. analytics, client analytics. Did that make sense?
Yes, it does. I'm following along as you speak, and I'm downloading mine because I really want to know what my average is.
Perfect. And here's another report that you can, again, if you're interested, total clients, total ghost, it gives it to you in one wrapper. I don't really like the colors, but there's too much on the eye. I guess we're stuck with our color. But when you print it, I think it looks nice. That's what they were telling me. Anyways. All right, so that's so much for quick view. And then we might really jump into the biggest menu option, or the most widely used menu option that we have, and that is our matters. So this is where you are creating the file itself. And this is where you're doing your retainers, your letter documentation, all of that fun stuff. You're inputting. So a big part of your life is, of course, inputting stuff. And no matter which system it is, you have to input it. There are certain areas where we can help you import information, but day in and day out, whatever is happening in your legal life, we like for you to tell us how it's happening. So if you've got a retainer, tell uLaw that. Make it your best friend. Just figuring out how to tell uLaw. You just need to understand our language so you can talk to us. So new retainer. If you know by just English labels, retainer, it says there, you can click that and say new retainer. Or we have friends who are also our clients who like the whole number game. They don't like numbers when it comes to accounting, but they understand how numbers work. So if this is a retainer, it goes into your trust account, then you can click on trust. And really, there's only two things you can do with any, two major things that you can do with any account. You can either take money out of it, or you can deposit money into it. And we've kept it simple English label, so it's deposit, withdraw. So there's no debit, credit, that's all the bank lingo. So if you got new retainer here, so let's say you've got a retainer of $1,000. Receive a check. Let's say it was a email transfer, maybe a reference number. And again, part of that initial intake process, again, we help set up these accounts for you. These are placeholder accounts, right? So when you are transacting in uLaw, we would like to understand which real-life accounts are you relating to. So these are placeholder accounts. They're not connected to the bank. We're currently investigating secure, non-intrusive ways that we can connect with your bank, because there's a lot of legalities if something were to happen for data intrusion or something like that at the bank side, what happens. So we're being very careful about this. But for now, it's a placeholder, so you can tell us, oh, it's a CIBC account that I have in Mississauga Road. Okay? And you can give your customer a retainer receipt then and there, or you can send it later, whatever is your comfort. And these documents, you can be assured, are compliant to the point where it has all of the data elements needed in a compliant retainer receipt. It has a file number, it has the name of the client, his address, the amount, the payment method, the date. And again, you can have your own electronic signature embedded. That's under the help. Just like how you can personalize your logo, you can upload a digital signature. You can sign on a white piece of paper, make it clear, take a picture, make that as your digital signature. So it's not an electronic signature, it's just a digital signature. There's a difference. And there you go. So you've got the retainer in. Then you go about doing your docketing and dispersing. So this is where we help, where you can docket right from our web presence, or you could be on the phone and you can be docketing, or you could use our scratch pad. You can use our timesheet or, sorry, calendar. So through the calendar, let's say for this week, I could say, oh, on Friday, I have in the good old days, a court visit scheduled. So you can either go from time to customer, or you can go from customer and input the time, is really my point. Or you can use the scratch pad. So you can see how you can associate any event to a matter. If you do not associate it, you could have this as your personal. So keep me busy on Friday for my own personal stuff. Okay? But I'll cut to the chase. So in the matters, once you've done that retainer, you're docketing, dispersing, you're generating invoices. This is where all the it gets really the rubber meets the road. So I'll say initial meeting, 1 hour. Again, there's many different ways in which you may have retained this customer. So it could be billable time, flat rate, combination of them all, right? This is where it's very personal. We pretty much do our best to accommodate all of those combinations. So you could say flat rate and just say it was $300. Or you could say the entire matter. We have customers who do this. They just use the description. They wait till the end of the matter. And they say initial client meeting, second meeting, court forms, court visit. Right? So you could encompass the entire billability in a single docket, if you like, because if you're just doing this for invoicing purposes, you can do that. Or if you're really, I would say, specific about writing down each and every event as and when it happens, because it may happen over time, and you want all of that to show, you can do that too. So the way it represents is really what the difference is. So if you do your preview now, you're just going to have one line item, which says LATB matter, right? And you've pretty much encompassed all of the work that you've put in. And if you think this is sufficient for your customer, and they will not come back to you saying, hey, what the heck is this? This invoice does not even look professional. If you think they're not going to do that, you can do this.
In a sweet, spicy.
Sorry?
No?
Oh, I think there was some for someone else. But if this is not really your style, you can, as I said, you can do one line item at a time. Initial client meeting. And you don't even have to dock it if it's a flat rate for the entire matter. You can just leave them as flat rate zeros or billable time zeros, and there's a meaning for that too. Okay, so on and so forth. And then the last event, I'm going through this fast just to prove a point that you can do this however you choose to. So let's say there's $800 worth of work and there's a disbursement. Again, you could pay that disbursement from your trust because there is money left in trust, which is what we recommend, because that way it keeps your accounting cleaner and you don't have to worry about extra accounting ledgers and journals. Or typically what we've seen is people pay for it upfront using their own money. Don't use the trust account. And I'm just going to say $96, tax exempt. And okay, I think I am pretty much top of the hour, 7:30 here. So how much more time do I have, Sandy? Okay, so the question is, are those built in? So it's a learning dictionary. So the next time I add an event and I just type in I, it already has learned because it's very personal. So uLaw is learning for each firm's specific need. And if you come up with the next LATB matter, we have an interesting feature called copy matter. So what it does is it allows you to copy all of the standard dockets that you've written over to another matter. So you can even pick the descriptions if you like, if you have a certain standard template. So create that ideal one client for every type of practice, and then just copy the matter if you feel that that reduces the amount of work that you're doing. But we've had this feature, and we found out that people are very different in the way they docket for each and every file. As much as the feature is lovely, it's great to demo it, but nobody uses it really. But you don't have to type it every time. Type it once, and it's there. Okay? And then you now do the right thing you have to do. You got to generate an invoice. So I clicked invoice. I can again do a preview. I have multiple options here, quite a few options. I don't want to bore you with that, but you can just do dockets, just disbursements. You can do them all. You can have a default theme. You could have your, who am I kidding, fall theme close to winter. And then you can email this to your client. Right? Oh, sorry. And the last step that you have to do, of course, as you know better, is to earn your money, is do your trust transfer of that, whatever the amount was. There you go. There's $0 left in trust. There's $800, $904, $800 plus taxes. And you can do it without taxes if you like. There's an option for that. Court fee. It's a running bill, so your customer is really happy because you've covered everything. You've got the $1,000 retainer that you received through that email transfer. You can even mark this as paid. So you can go in and reprint that invoice, and here you have this option saying mark as paid if you like to. And this puts a little stamp right at the bottom. Okay? Then you go in here, you click on a little question mark that you see. Anytime you have any question, you can just click on that. We tell you how much eligible trust transfer you have. Okay? And you can take an action, move the eligible $1,000, or you can just move 904. And again, this is where we have the checks and balances in place to keep you compliant. You can't move a cent more or less. And this is where we allow you to avoid making mistakes. So you can see how you moved it. And in Ontario, if you do this electronically from your CIBC Trust account into your TD General, we help you pre-populate it with the Form 9A. And as part of your initial intake, we set up your bank account, as I mentioned before. And here's your Form 9A. And let's say you're not in the mood to do all of this thoroughness at the start of that. You can always come back to compliance and pretty much generate all those Form 9As for the entire month in one shot. So where did I do that? I went into accounts, I went into compliance, monthly compliance, and I did the Form 9A download. You can see this is the monthly compliance of all the transfers we've done. This month we've only got Bob General. Okay. Okay, now all the work is done, so you rinse and repeat this for every customer. Every situation is different. End of the day, you're requested to do your monthly compliance documents, your trust general ledgers. And this is really where your $29 makes its value worth, or 34 or 44, whatever you're paying is worth the money. Even if you do have a bookkeeper to help you with this, we always encourage you to stay on top of your numbers. You don't want to rely, especially on trust and general numbers, for someone else to tell you what you should be thinking. You should know it. You should just have the bookkeeper help you accomplish it, right? But you should still be able to find fault or understand how these numbers work. So for every customer, including our Bob General, use your trust ledger, really. So you've got the $1,000. This is Law Society compliant. So when the Law Society auditor looks at your trust ledger, two things. One, they understand that you've templatized it well, coming from uLaw. But the most fundamental reason what they're asking this for is they know that you've done your data entry right, or you've done the right thing. And how do they validate that you've done the right thing? Is by asking you to do your trust reconciliation, because this is where you're now comparing every item that you've recorded in the uLaw system against the reality of your financial bank statement, which is really where the real money is getting deposited and getting withdrawn, right? So we did the reconciliation for both trust and general, and then that's a month. So the invoices are generated not in numeric order. I think we have a random invoice generation. It starts with, really depends on the firm. It starts with 000001 and then goes from there. So ideally it is numeric, but for your firm it would start at a certain point. Okay, so accounts, we talked about business accounting briefly. I'm going to cover that and then maybe call it a day, because I know I've covered a bit too much, maybe too fast, because there's just so much, right? So with uLaw, you don't need a QuickBooks. So typically, if you're a legal practitioner, you're doing all of your legal work, right? But you're also running a business. And believe it or not, some of the documents that the auditors ask for has convergence. Your client-related expenses may spill a little into your office expenses, because if you're paying for it up front, well, you're using your operating account to pay for it, which is kind of a expense in that manner. So helping you understand here, if I come into my monthly compliance and I do my expense book, an expense book is a Law Society report that is asking you for all the expenses that you've incurred in a time period, whether it's for a client, whether it's for your own business. Okay? So here you could see an example where there's a $78.32. There's a $17 transaction fee. Comes down to my favorite account. Now let us say I add an expense. I say office expenses. And Law Society of Ontario. Coming out of my general account. Wrote them a check maybe. And you can even print that check in uLaw. So a couple of remittances, you can put the amount. And if you print this against your printer, it's going to give you the amount, who is it for, and it would just emboss right on top of it. Now if I run that report, you can see I have my September fees already associated. Okay. So uLaw can be used to manage your office expenses because we do full-fledged business accounting. So whatever reporting you need from QuickBooks, we pretty much have it. So your balance sheet, your trial balance, your revenue report, your expense report. So here's your revenue report for the month. So it tells you the total expenses. You can do this over a date range. Here's even your recovery of expenses, the expenses that you had of $96 for that disbursement. Okay, and there's just so many more reports that are both business related and legal business related. For example, if you want to understand, what's a good example here? Pro bono. If you really want to know over a quarter how much of pro bono hours you've provided to customers, that is something that you can generate in uLaw. And as Gayatri just mentioned, you can compare these between two different date ranges. So you can see what your revenue was last month compared to this month, or you can compare financial years, which is pretty cool. Here's all the pro bonos that you've provided over this quarter. So the next time Petra is giving you a call or Mo John is giving you a call, you know that you've provided them already with so much of pro bono hours. Okay. And last but not least, of course, the analytics. This is really end of the day situation where you're relaxed, you're trying to understand your business better, and if you want to understand where you're making your money from, this is all retrospective. And now you can compare this with the whole year and see how you're doing. You can compare it with previous years. You can see which areas have given you most money, whether I should focus on those areas or not, right? And you can compare revenue, you can compare expenses. And I wouldn't call it big data, but it's certainly fast information at your fingertips. And this is available to you even on our app. So you can do this right from our app as well. You don't even have to use our web version. Okay, so I'll pause right here because I can just keep going all day long. But I know we're coming up late to the hour. But I'll pause right here and ask if you have any specific questions further to the earlier ones. And as I mentioned earlier, we are recording this. It will be available. And one of the fun parts that I've enjoyed working with uLaw is we do these weekly webinars every Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Some of these webinars are CPD accredited. So it does give you your 3 hours of professionalism CPD credits at no charge. Unfortunately, Sandy, I don't think we can hear you. So if you go into our webinar website, you would have all the information you need about every possible webinar that's scheduled for the year. So you can see the one coming up for this week, Law Office Client Management, is accredited for 1 hour of CPD credits. This is actually tomorrow. You just have to sign up and then you could use that. Alrighty, so Sandy, unfortunately, I don't think we could hear you, but if you want to use the chat window, maybe to type in your question, or you can just dial in using the phone number that I provided earlier on, because as I mentioned, sometimes the internet can be wacky. and I'll stop the recording as well.